In this episode, the final duel in space continues and things get even crazier. Hey there, my name is Rex, episode 91 of Yu-Gi-Oh! 7s. As you can see, things look a little different with this review. I'm currently in the process of moving, so my green screen and my tripod are not set up, but this episode was pretty insane as we pick up in the duel between the giant Yuga robot and the giant Otis robot. And going on to Yuga's turn now, he summons out Royal Demon's Heavy Metal and Prima Guitarner, both of Roa and Roman's ace monsters, which were, some of the last ones we need to see for this duel, aside from the obvious one after that, but they're able to take out both of Otis's monsters that he had on the field, Seventh Road Witch and Seventh Road Magician. So pretty good, solid turn as everybody else is watching this duel go on Earth, and they even help out as well because Otis's team decides to try some cheating, some dirty tactics as they're hurling all of the pieces of their own duel servers that they created, all of the alien girls, right? But in defense, everybody on Earth is using pieces of their dual server from the moon to defend against them. So I like that that's going on because, they need to stop these head on and they can't just dodge them because they'll hit the moon and break up more of the server. And on top of this, the 6 Ross also shows up to help them defend against some of this. So I like that now, the Goha siblings are back in it as, power is back on Earth. So they were able to launch the 6 Ross. And so now you got the giant robot standing atop the 6 Ross. It's there and all the Goha siblings are there. Yes, all of them, including Yuga Goha. And interestingly enough, he's at his original height, so I guess we kind of get like a moment of a Bruce Banner Hulk moment where he solves his struggle off screen. Again, I think a lot of us would have liked to see a lot more with him, but he is back at his original height, and it seems like he's kind of back to his original demeanor, or at least the swirly demeanor, more of the friendly. And I like that Luke even kind of recognizes that and calls him swirly in this moment, even though I think Luke had been doing that basically the whole time, but that was just nice to see. So now they're there, and back onto Otis's turn. He actually summons Seventh Road Magician again, as well as his other monster that's basically his boss monster, or at least, his definitive boss monster, or at least, one that is more so tied to him. And that one was Darkness Zero Rogue. This one is a dark attribute spellcaster monster that has an effect to destroy both of Yuga's monsters on his field. Otis has a fusion spell as well, and fuses both his Seventh Road Magician and Darkness Zero Rogue into a huge fusion monster, and this one's actually pretty big and crazy and scary. This one being called Magician of Dark Sevens, that has a continuous effect to gain attack based on the dark attribute monsters in his graveyard. So this one's pretty big and pretty scary. Yuga is able to defend as he has a trap card that lets him draw a card, and if it's a monster he can special summon in defense position, and the monster he draws is Dragears. So Dragears at least gets to defend him for a bit this turn at least. He still takes a lot of damage though from the other monster that Otis has on the field, and he has Magician of Dark Sevens too, right, to destroy Dragears. So back onto Yuga's turn, and he's got an empty field, but of course there's always time for a comeback in sevens, or in rush duels at least. So Yuga now brings out his maximum monster and use the effect to return it to basically just summon back some other monster. And here's the great thing though, is he brings back Dragears, and now he actually gets to summon his own Seventh Road Magician, which, we're basically seeing for the first time, or at least the good one on his side of the field. This next part, it's like, okay, we all knew this was coming, I think, since fusion was introduced, but he does fuse both Seventh Road Magician and Dragears into one monster, and it's so cool. I really like the look of this. It looks a little more, I guess, substantial than some of the other fusions, because, Dragears fusion didn't seem like super substantial, but this one, it is still kind of, I guess, a basic fusion, but it's Dragears with all this armor on it, a lot of the armor of Seventh Road Magician, and Seventh Road Magician is on its back, and so, it's a lot like a Dragon Master Knight, or at least the Sevens version of Dragon Master Knight, so I really like that. And this one's got a funky name also, but it's appropriate because it was just such a hype summon. Sevens Gia's the Magical Dragonite, and this one also has an effect to gain 700 attack for each monster in the graveyard with a different type, and type being, the type instead of just attribute. So that's at least nice that he gets to have this big old monster, and it gains a lot of attack, leaving it at like 8,600, and so that's basically what Yuga would need to win the game. So they enter the battle phase, they declare an attack, and Otis has basically just got them I guess, cornered. He also reveals his true intentions as well, or at least he really just wanted to end duels in their entirety. And I guess there was kind of a backwards way of him going about it. He read the Sevens book and was inspired by that, as I guess he says he was at a low point and he wanted to just end duels completely. He still maintains that idea of wanting to leave duels in the hands of children, specifically that he wanted to give duels back to the hands of children so that they can destroy it themselves. I mean, weird roundabout way of going it, but I guess, if he's dedicated to the book, and especially with how we know what the narrative of the book is that, it was an old man who tricks a young sorcerer into destroying the moon. So he basically did follow that to a T, especially now as he has a trap card that prevents him from taking damage, and the opponent would take all the damage he would have taken this turn, and every monster that can attack has to attack, especially with Sevens Geas being able to attack twice because it gains Dragus' effect. So they're in a stalemate. It already attacks once, but now it has to attack again. It's being forced to attack. This is still during the battle phase, and basically Yuga would be ending his own game, would be ending it himself. So that's even more so of that theme of that Yuga has to be the one to end everything. So they're in a corner. They're basically about to lose. However, we get some last minute wackiness as all the alien girls are like, oh shoot, our shift's over. Peace out, bye. With the Otis robot kind of flying away a bit while all that's going on. And apparently even the whole like alarm going off and causing all the alien girls to just leave was caused by a ladybug from Nanaho. So at least, Nanaho did something else, right? Just kind of like a last minute thing. And I guess like it makes sense for her being a ninja to plant something like that and have it go off at that time. So the duel is paused. The duel doesn't end. And I think at this point, we're still technically in the battle phase of this duel. Yuga has to attack, and I think they both have like 400 life points left. And if Yuga completes the attack, he would lose. However, since they're so far apart though, the duel is paused. It's real interesting too, especially as how Yuga decides to take all of his friends out and leave them there, and he wants to take it all on his own. He wants to finish his duel by himself. That kind of is appropriate as well because, Yuga is really the type of person to work with his friends, but at the same time, it really does seem like this is something that he would want to do by himself, and I kind of like that as well. In the moment, you're thinking like, this is a dumb idea, don't do that, right? If we're all going to go down, we're all going to go down together. So the other characters are thinking that, and especially Luke, as Luke obviously refuses to accept it, jumps out of his face, chases after him, and yes, oh boy, we see the Luke man show up again. And that's how he gets back into the robot. So now here's probably one of the craziest things I think of this episode, or at least, obviously, aside from what giant space rocks hurtling toward a giant robot dueling in space, right? Luke challenges Yuga to a duel. If I win, we do this together. If you win, fine, I'll let you do this by yourself. And so that's where the episode ends, is on their duel challenge. But it's pretty crazy too, because this is a duel in between a duel, but at the same time, I think this is one that kind of needed to happen, a duel between Yuga and Luke. And it is kind of crazy because, like, narratively, it would make total sense for Yuga to win this next duel because, this would be Yuga finally defeating Luke in a duel, Luke, really finally taking like a big loss like this. And especially, it would kind of be Yuga's chance to more so prove himself. Yes, he's skilled enough, strong enough to solve this on his own. Not necessarily solve this on his own, but that he takes the responsibility for it, especially, like, not necessarily saying that everything was his fault, but I think also he's got to be dealing with a lot now too, because he was the one who let himself get tricked by Otis. And I think that was a point too kind of brought up by Tiger in a few episodes ago, but yeah, it kind of is his fault. He didn't intend it to happen this way, but it technically is. That'll be really interesting, and I think, yeah, technically next week is the last episode. So I guess we're gonna have a bit of a quick duel between Yuga and Luke. I'm gonna guess Yuga wins, and if he doesn't, just narratively, I think it just makes so much sense for Yuga to win in this moment. So we'll see how all that goes, but oh my gosh, really exciting episode, and yeah, especially as we're finishing things out. I'm pretty happy though if that is where things are going, and if that's kind of where we're gonna end with a duel between Yuga and Luke, and then now Yuga gets to resolve all of this going on with Otis. Even though he did get to team up with all his friends in the last episode, now it's time for him to basically take the responsibility for himself, and so I would definitely like that. But let me know what you think in the comments below. If you enjoyed this episode, I don't know, I'm at a loss for words, man, just because like I'm liking this finale. I'm liking this finale so far. Again, we'll look back retrospectively on like all the things that could have been better here and there throughout the entire series, but right now, last episode, this episode, and then going into next episode, I just think are really good, great, and are doing a good job to tie the whole series together. But yeah, let me know what you think in the comments below, and I'll see you next week, hopefully back to the usual setup. But anyway, this has been Rex. Have a nice day.